Ptolemy 5 aspects is conjunction, sextile, squared, trine, and opposition. And once again, conjunction, sextile, squared, trine, and opposition. Those are the 5 Ptolemaic aspects. But I also use other ones additional, especially when you're using midpoints. I use the 8 harmonic, and that composes of multiples of 45, and that will give you an interesting series of contacts. And actually, the 8 harmonic is, to me, is one of the revolutionary for me to getting into other aspects of transits, progressions, and solar arcs, and so forth. Now, there's another one that I use, and that would be 16 harmonic, which is multiples of 22 and zero point 0.5, or half a degree sequence, or multiples of that. And you'll find other interesting comparisons. So, for example, for me, I do use it on constant observation, and I do emphasize that it is observation. Once you have the output or printout, so I should say, of the midpoints in your chart, you actually now are armed with a very potent list of which you can utilize and get further understanding of not only yourself, but other people around you, particularly your family. But I've primarily been focusing on the sun and moon for no reason. It seems to be like something that is very much prominent. It makes very much good sense, but I don't mean to say no reason, bad choice of term, but it's dominant because when you get to your sun and moon, it's easy to focus on. There's at least about 88 midpoints, but relatively you don't have to juggle with all of them. But I would focus just on the sun and moon midpoint. Now there are other ones that you can apply the same principle. The sun and Jupiter is another one. You would want to look also with the Pluto and Jupiter midpoint too, and opposition. But you can also use the 8 harmonic, which is multiple of 45 degrees. Then comes the 90 degrees. Then comes the 135 degrees. Then comes the 180, which is the opposition. Now, again, I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but give yourself time. This is a process. Respect the process. That's what I say. And you can actually benefit from just utilizing the technique. And not only just when I'm using midpoints, you can use that generally just in transits. See and figure it out. Learn to observe certain transits or progressions. And then you know what you can fabulously can do is back check your chart and events. So one of the things I would recommend, highly recommend, is to on a list of of all the prominent features or events in your life. Now that can be as something as a graduation is one, and that's a graduation. I would say the graduation from high school. Now there can be other ones, but I'm just particularly primary working with that one. Graduations, whatever is applicable. College is another one. Marriage is another one. Jot down the years, and pretty much you may not be able to have the dates at hand, except for maybe graduation that can be documented with the diploma and so forth. But also look at all the things like you can go for the year and the month. If you can get primary in that, you can pretty much be in the ballpark and find some revealing information or insight, if you will, with the midpoints. This is why I love it. It's when I started years back, it actually opened and I was blown away with what could reveal. But suddenly it becomes even more apparent over the time because you now get to see predictional patterns. I'm going to use that term. And we can actually benefit from that. Not only, and again, I'm looking at this um, from a personal perspective. meaning that you can utilize it on your chart, first of all, primary, because this is the one you would actually have much more in and out, especially the family members, immediate family members. But all those you can use. Now, I'm going back to the list. First time you traveled out of the country is another event that you would want to documentate. Your first job, if you can remember, that can be documented. And you may find a day that you may, and it can be passing of a parent, a loved one. That's also another event that you would want to look. So you want to just look at not only primary all the benefits of just looking at good times. You want to look at also the benefits of looking at hard times, because not that you want to just see and supersede that as looking at, say, oh, this may come as a bad event based on. No, it's actually timing techniques to see the power of the aspects, whatever that may be. Not, that can be a semi-quadric 135, or a square, or a semi-square, which is 45 degrees, and so forth. But these are the planets that activate, so to speak. Now, you're not only looking at planets, you're looking at midpoints and the ones that I mentioned. But primary, we're just going to always focus right now until we get change of plans, is the sun and the moon. You will see how these particularly aspects to that midpoint and other people's midpoint that you study, you will see the impact it has. So keep this in mind. I'm not going to make this relatively a long video, but I wanted to bring that out. So the techniques that we're using is the ephemeris, and this is what you see up on the screen. Is primary looking and have been on the stream for some time, but I wanted you to just get a glance of it. Those who may not be able to utilize this, but you can actually download these things, the ephemeris now. You don't have to go in the time when I was coming up. You had to purchase it. And then you had a range of when you purchase it, a certain amount of years, or a year or a month, depending on what you're looking for. Now you can just go to, everybody's choice. I want to say is I like astro.com if you don't have this computer software. If you don't, then you can actually now go online. If you don't have your own pardon me, if you don't have your own personal software, you can utilize this. Now, there's another one that I recommend too, is astro.seek. It's astroseek.com. Astroseek.com. And you play around with the sites or websites. You can actually see some very much additional lessons. Now, I also encourage where you can bring up forth and actually decide to look at midpoints as you got the list and looking at them on a daily basis. That's one of my favorite ones. Just looking daily, and what I mean by daily, you're looking at the diurnal, which is the movements and of the sun, basically the planets during the whole 24 hours spectrum and movement. So it's like beginning of day or dawn of day, so to speak, or even earlier, and which is pre-dawn, and then to nightfall, and then to again returning to your reference point will be 12 a.m. You will see certain things because you can astonishingly find certain events or feelings and modes that you will get involved with. Now, another thing, a beautiful tool is, and if you have any lack of understanding of what I'm talking reference to, there's my older video. I have one out. It should be referenced on the end of this video that you can look at tools for midpoints. And this is the graphic ephemeris, which is very for visual learners. For this general, is this is something you can ascertain quickly by looking and studying it. And it takes a little time, but if you see the symbols, you see the Aries is up on the top area, and you'll also see the wiggly lines, I will say, and the vertical. Those are actually planets of the birth chart. So there's a way you look at it horizontally, um, and you look at it also vertically up and down. So those are key insights you want to look at. And just keep in mind, if you should be able to find that on astro.com. I'm using personally my own software. That's where it is Solarfire, so I can recommend that. But most of them, if you have Matrix and so forth, you should be able to have this aspect, and you can be able to, or functionality. And so this is bringing you back again. So I'm going to round this up. You have also the midpoints, you see, and also this is the regular chart that we're familiar with. It can be used as a dial, and it is, but we just formally, because we keep it as simple as plain, because that would be something that, as you're doing your self study or involved with a course, this would be much more making more sense, if you will. But this one I'm just showing because this is the one with traditional, but going into other aspects from this, what we call the 90-degree dial, which is also, um, this is not it, but it's the one with terms in there. So I've used ancients or classical techniques that's very powerful, but it's all part of learning, and the journey ends with that when you begin to see certain realities come into, and then at that time the journey ends and it begins at the same time. So I don't mean as this the ending point, destination point, one stop, and can get off at the journey, and you can go further with this, studying these aspects and midpoints and points in chart, the nodes and everything. So keep in mind, hopefully have a very productive research cycle, and let's have a good day and enjoy. And thanks for listening. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment if you have any other particular things that you may want me to brush over or actually explore that you may or may not heard before. So on that note, everybody have a good day and peace.